Well, that was some of the fruits there, though I had a million to talk about. Let's switch over to some vegetables, okay? Let's talk about one that which you would think that is only fall, and it's not true. We actually have them available year-round. What are these?
So the yams?
Kind of a mob here, huh? Some people are from the south. They're yams, right? And then other people, they're sweet potatoes, right? Okay, this is the question I get every August. Every food reporter wants to know.
They're labeled yams.
Okay, so sweet potatoes are yams. Yams are sweet potatoes. Let me explain. If you're in the south, they're yams. If you say they're sweet potatoes, you will get into a fight. Okay? And I'm going to explain truly they're sweet potatoes and not yams. But in the stores, you buy canned yams and you can buy canned sweet potatoes. Most often they call them yams because of the pie and the side dishes they use for Thanksgiving. These are actually sweet potatoes. We don't grow yams here in the United States. Yams are large tubers that have a thick skin and they have no color on the inside and they are not sweet. Yams are kind of like third world type roots, but somehow they started associating sweet potatoes as yams. Sweet potatoes, however, they're grown in the United States 365 days out of the year. They're available 365 days out of the year, but for some reason, people think you can only buy them in October through December because of Thanksgiving, because of sweet potato pies, the marshmallow thing, which is good. But these are sweet potatoes. I'm going to tell you why. Sweet potatoes, the skins are completely edible. All you have to do is scrub them off. And they're very thin. Yams aren't like that. Sweet potatoes, they're colorful. Okay? Yams are usually white or yellow. There's many types of variety. Yes, at the store, you're going to see them as jewels. Now some of them just say jewels and let you interpret if it's a yam or sweet potatoes, or garnets. Some are yellow, some are orange, some are purple. There's a Charleston purple one that's completely purple. And the cool thing is, it actually, I don't think I brought a purple one. It's purple on the outside, it's purple on the inside. These are the Japanese one called the Metsuwa ones. And these are actually like one of the most popular ones, especially at the Asian markets and whatnot, or like when you go to like a sushi bar and get like tempura. This is the yam they love to work with there. Or the sweet potato they like to work with. But the main thing is that they're interchangeable, they're colorful, and most of all, what determines that it's a sweet potato, because when you cook it, it's actually sweet. So, I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody from the South here. I don't want to fight you, but it's a marketing thing where they call them, some stores call them yams and sweet potatoes. But what I find so funny is on the same row, there's one company that calls them sweet potatoes and one company that calls them yams, right? And the yams will sell 9 out of 10 times. So most of the time, they make sure the can says yams. So anyway, you're here and you hear the correct information there. But don't be messing with a South person who wants to call them yams. Okay? All right, let's talk about sunflower chokes. Okay? And the book covers this really well. This is our first book. It's the Melissa's Great Book of Produce. I started doing cookbooks with our chefs. I've got 4 chefs on staff. Tracy, were you there when we were doing this book? 2006?
I was in the infancy.
You were in the infancy. You were hearing about it, but it actually came to fruition. We now have 6 books. Oh my gosh. I know. So anyway, this book talks about 500 different produce items. You'll see on the cover there, the author's Kathy Thomas. For those who are like, Kathy Thomas? Oh yeah, I know Kathy Thomas. Kathy Thomas is a good friend of mine. She is a well-known food writer with James Beard appeal to her. She was the #1 food writer in America in like 2003. She's a really good friend of mine. She was the Orange County Register food author for 22 years. She just retired about 2 years ago. Now she freelances. So a couple of our books, she is the author because she's a food writer and whatnot. I'm just a guy who knows a lot of information. So my information is like the first 3 paragraphs, and then it goes into recipes and all that stuff. But actually our whole Melissa's team and our 4 chefs that we have on staff, created all the recipes that are in the inside as well. So the Melissa's Great Book of Produce talks about 500 different produce items, talks about everything that's on the table and then some. 500 of these, but we have other books as well I'll talk about later. But this item right here is called a sunflower choke. This is another confusing thing. There are some things in the supermarkets that are different names, but they're the same thing, like the sweet potato and yam. This one's really confusing because there's multiple names. There's the sunflower choke, which is what we call it. There's the sun choke. There's the garçons, and there's the Jerusalem artichoke. The original, probably, a lot of you probably remember the name Jerusalem artichoke. The problem is, it's not from Jerusalem, and it's not in the artichoke family. Okay? Why do we call it a sunflower choke? Because it's a choke. It's the root of a sunflower. You know the flowers you buy? There's a couple of things like cactus. There's a couple things that you can like eat the whole thing. The cactus is both a fruit and a vegetable because you can eat the fruit and then also eat the cactus pads. Now, don't be going in your backyard and start. I would not recommend that. You can buy actually cactus pads or nopales, which are already cut and spined, whatever. Never go into your backyard and do it. I mean, it's totally edible and everything like that, but it's just not worth the trouble because it's not the spines you see, it's the spines you don't see that actually are there and will get you and will be a reminder on your hand for days and days and days why you shouldn't have done that, even though they grow wild everywhere. So let's get back to this. So why are there so many names? Well, some people are branders like ourselves. We're actually the largest distributor of them, and we've carried them for like 35 years. They've been around for quite some time. But this is one of those ones in the wintertime. See, it seems like root vegetables are, even though the root vegetables are available year-round, they're more prevalent in the store. And also because, well, we really don't know that living around here because, 70 degrees year-round. If it's below 70 degrees, we complain. If it's over 70 degrees, we complain. But look at like, what was it, Fargo and Minneapolis or whatnot, where they are in this Arctic vortex thing. So the root vegetables become very handy because sometimes you're trapped in your house, buried in the snow for many days, and roots, they store for a long time, so you can take them out for stews and soups. I know this is like our Arctic blast that we had the last few days here. Where it's dipped down to like the 50s in the morning there. Anyway, for some reason, we like to do soups and stews and all that good stuff. And this is one of those ones. You can enjoy it raw, but most often than not, it's cooked. So if you like potatoes with a twist, like a potato, it does have a little artichoke in there thing going on there. It has a turnipy thing going on there and whatnot. And these are very trendy. You see it popped up on all the nice white tablecloth restaurants in the last few years. Let's talk about a couple other root vegetables. Anybody know what this is? Yeah, like grows right in your backyard. It's also referred to what usually, actually, the variety that's grown here in San Pedro, because like there's a couple fields where I live. I live over by the Korean Bell, for those who know San Pedro, and it's also called anise. Okay, and I've seen people pick these and whatnot. It's truly delicious and great. Actually, Tracy used the fennel in the dish there as well. I'm going to be talking about the rutabaga as well. Did you use that in, which dish are you going to serve right now?
We're serving both of them at the same time.
Okay, so you're going to be able to try the fennel, the anise, another name for it. Most often than not, it's marketed as fennel because we're the largest distributor of it in the United States there. Most often than not, a lot of people just cut off the heads. So we actually sell it just the head, but a lot of chefs like to also use what this is called the fronds. Okay, I know there's all these technical names. They're just like branches. Why don't you just call them branches? Fronds. So French, huh? Oui. Okay, anyway. We got a Frenchman in the room, so I'm not going to go that way. So the fennel, I mean, it's just something that you can just enjoy and chop up and stuff like that. You can actually just eat it raw if you wanted to. The flavor, my grandfather, who's Slav, he's passed, but he called it Finocchio. And it's got like a black licorice flavor and smell. That's why when you're like walking up at Friendship Park, you're like walking through and it smells like black licorice everywhere you go because of it's growing like everywhere. So anyway, a little bit of spontaneous shots there. So we're going to try that. I don't know if Tracy's going to start. Also another root vegetable that we're going to be serving as well is the rutabaga. Not so popular here on the West Coast, but the chefs are starting. Another root vegetable, kind of looks like a turnip, like it's a purple fade and a white fade. The turnips are a green fade and a white fade. Actually, it's flipped the other way. So this is the top of it, and this is where the roots go down. But this is how you usually get it in the store and whatnot.
Often in the store, it's heavily waxed.
Yeah, okay. When you get the larger ones, they have a more sensitive, they need to be cured, meaning they need to stay at storage for a long time. But a lot of growers get around it and bring it to market faster by waxing it on the outside. Because usually most people don't eat the skin and whatnot. And they do wax a lot of other root vegetables. They do that like on cassava, yucca root, and a couple other ones. They do it on radishes sometimes, just so the ends don't, kind of mold or whatnot, which easily could be chopped off. But Americans, they buy it with their eyes. I do it too. If it looks good, it's probably going to taste good. So if there's just a little bit of blemish on it, they do that a lot with the jicama as well, which is another root vegetable, where they put a wax on it because it's so easily bruises. But on the jicama, the thing is you don't eat the skin on the jicama anyway. So you're going to just take that off with a peeler.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yes.
It seems like the wax jicamas go bad in just a few days.
Well, they're supposed to have a good shelf life. The one thing that's bad, and the retailers put it usually by a mister. And water is bad for this if it hits the stem, but the wax is supposed to hold off so the water resists it. So jicama has a really good shelf life. It can store for like 3 months, but when you buy it at the store, it can store for at least 2 weeks. But after 2 weeks in the refrigerator, that long, it can go bad. You'll know as soon as you cut it, it should be bright white.
I never refrigerate them until after I cut them.
Right, right. But because Americans buy them, or most often than not, unless you're at a Latino market, maybe more like Northgate or Superior in LA, they're not in the refrigerated rack. They're on a bulk, huge display, bigger than the bananas. Because this is the jicama, which is called the Mexican potato, is actually more often than not, like 9 out of 10 times enjoyed raw, where you just put it into sticks. You see this pop up a lot on the salad bars, where you cut it into like French fry kind of squares. You squeeze lime juice and a little chili powder, pico de gallo on top, and you just enjoy it like a snack and whatnot. It's another one of those root vegetables that people are learning more and more about. However, if you're Hispanic, this is an everyday item. The jicama is. There's nothing new or different there. Okay, so we talked about rutabaga. We talked about parsnips. Looks like a carrot. Kind of tastes like a carrot. Is the parsnip in the salad?
No, it's in the
Okay. They'll be serving that out as well. See, little did you know you guys were going to be fed today. So, Tracy, what's for dessert? Funny. We didn't go that far. Fruit, right?
Good conversation.
Okay, but anyway, so this is the parsnip. Parsnip's big all over the country, being found more and more on the menus today. It's very similar to a carrot, but also it's got this turnipy potato thing, If you get to a point where you're getting sick of potatoes, which most of America doesn't because it's like the second or first most eaten vegetable, or in this case really it's a starch, you should explore with these other roots, because some of them have like a sweetness to them. I always refer to this as the white carrot. And usually you don't see the tops on them. The tops are edible. That's the one thing about it. The tops on many of these fruits and vegetables, you know how you remember you used to always buy carrots with the tops on? And then they, would rip it off for you or whatnot. Now the carrots don't come with tops. Right now, a lot of things that's happening at the restaurants is they're using the tops in the soups and stews. It's completely edible. That was the reason why they always sold it with the tops on, but most Americans either don't know how to use it or don't even know it's edible. So, and this is the same with many other things like beets and turnips and stuff like that. Most often than not, you're not going to have the tops on. So can you please explain what everybody's enjoying out here with some of the different root vegetables?
Okay. Well,
I have to say the salad was a collaboration. However, the salad is chard and fennel, the bulb.
Just the bulb part.
Yeah, and you explained about cleaning the bulb.
Yes. Well, no, I didn't.
Okay.
But
Well, you can
like
tell-
every produce item, it's important because you'll see when you cut it, it layers in, and some of the dirt and mud may get in there as well.
Right, it's like a leak.
Yes.
You know how it will collect the sand, so you, now if you're roasting them, some people like to keep the bottom intact, but you're gonna have to sort of put it under the faucet,
Yeah.
so you force that sand. Yeah, exactly.
So when you use the fennel, and this happens with many of them, leeks is another good example and stuff, you need to, what I like to do is I just like to do a simple cut right here, and then what you can do is then cut it this way, and it's going to fall apart. So put it in a strainer, and that will make sure any layers of dirt and whatnot, so you don't get that grit in there.
That's
So
right.
this is the part that she used. You didn't use the fronds.
Oh, no, we have the fronds.
You do have the fronds in there
Yes,
too.
yes. And I wanted, the fennel also is, if you save the seeds, if you take the green seeds, they're very good. It gives you a fresh breath.
Oh, nice.
So if you forgot,
If you like the flavor of black licorice.
yes. But it's much, the seeds are,
And if you like fresh breath.
that's right. The green seeds are milder, so it's not as licoricey.
Yes.
But once they're dried, the flavor's concentrated. So, so this plant, you can eat all of it. It's wonderful. And there are many ways you can use this. You can roast it. It's very good roasted, which I would have done, except that I roasted the root vegetables. So, but anyway, it's included in that are the rutabagas, which were always on my family table, and it's one of my most favorite roots. I like turnips too, but I actually prefer the rutabaga. It has a very earthy smell, and it's kind of turnipy, but it's kind of a more creamy flavor. And we used to have these in place of potatoes, just the rutabaga.
So you just bake them like potatoes?
I did mine in the roast.
I would cut them
You
into
have to-
pieces because they're very dense versus trying to like bake them in aluminum foil and whatnot. They will cook easier when you cut them.
we would cube them,
Yeah, cube them.
and then put them in with like a little chicken broth and cover them, and then they would become soft, and then they whip up just like potatoes do. And these are just, I can't tell you how amazing this is with just a little bit of pepper, a little bit of salt and butter. Of course, as Julia Child says it, butter makes everything better.
Here's some butter.
For those who want to stay away from butter, olive oil
Yes,
instead of the
olive oil.
salt and pepper, and that's pretty easy.
Yes. You can also put like applesauce in. Is a good substitute for butter, believe it or not. Applesauce.
Oh, applesauce.
Yeah. In fact, if you're baking like pancakes and you have someone who does not eat dairy, if you put applesauce in your batter, it replaces the butter and eggs. So pretty amazing. But parsnips are in there.
And the gratin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the baby Dutch potatoes are in there. And they're carrots. And you can't go wrong with the rutabaga. I don't think it can be too heavy on the rutabaga. I mean, some people, if you don't like turnips, you might not like that. But anyway, it's a very easy dish. It's just like preparing mashed potatoes. But okay. But anyway, I hope you enjoy.
Do you have the recipe?
Can we put the recipes on Facebook after or something like that? Or?
We can email the recipe to everyone who RSVP'd for today.
Well, I can tell you
Yes.
that growing up in New Orleans, New Orleans, believe it or not, is a very Italian town. People think that it's very French, but it's very Italian. And this recipe is my own recipe, but it's based on recipes that I grew up with. So I'll put it together, and perhaps we can put it on the website.
There we go.
Anyway, enjoy.
Thank you, Tracy. So let me just end there because I can continue to
Yes,
talk
I need-
on and on.